President Cyril Ramaphosa urged increased investment, saying he wants to see cranes and heavy machinery in action. Nqobile Madlala joins us now for a little bit more when it comes to this one. Of course, we're anticipating a whole host of industry experts when it comes to the story. Nqobile, what do we know thus far?
Well, Arabile, yesterday we had President Ramaphosa who was speaking in front of those leaders and experts, and he spoke about the fact that there's already 1 trillion rand that has been invested in the construction sector. But of course, we're going to have that diced down by the minister. But we know that MECs from all the province are actually here also to hear more in terms of how can they turn South Africa into a construction site. And I want to bring in now my guest to speak to us, Minister Dean McPherson. A very interesting one, turning South Africa into a construction site. Is it happening?
Yes, it is. And that's borne out by the latest quarterly labour force survey results, which showed 130,000 new jobs that were created in the third quarter of 2025. That's nearly 50% of all new jobs that were created. So it was the largest leader of new job creation in the third quarter of this year. So the construction side is underway. We now want to expand it, deepen it. And so wherever you go in the country, you see cranes, you see construction workers building our country from the ground up, because that represents progress, represents opportunity, and it shows growth in our economy and in our country.
Speak to us about the 1 trillion rand. How's that working out?
So as the President outlined yesterday, the government has apportioned 1 trillion rand over the next 3 years for major infrastructure projects. That is a record for the government to table. And you will then see that being built through various SOEs, through various departments, roads, bridges, new water plants, new connectivity for electricity, new buildings. We are currently building the first new building in the center of Johannesburg for the last 20 years. No new buildings have been built in the center of Johannesburg. We currently have one now that'll finish towards the middle of next year. So that's where you'll see it. And it really is encouraging. It gives a lot of opportunity for businesses, construction companies, construction workers. And that's the kind of progress that we want to see. But it also allows the private sector to partner with government. So we really want to use that 1 trillion rand to leverage the private sector to come in and partner with us and then have even more construction in the country.
Minister, this is the second summit. How has it worked so far? Are you happy with the progress from what you did in Durban to now?
Well, the first one was a resounding success because that one we worked to deal with the construction mafia. And we signed what we called the Durban Declaration, which set out a program of action of how we would deal with them and tackle the construction mafia. And as I presented yesterday to the plenary, we have seen a massive decrease in construction mafia-related activities. We've arrested hundreds of people. We've convicted 165 people. So 165 people actually been convicted. We've seen a 5-fold decrease in disruptions in KwaZulu-Natal. We were seeing about 60 a month a year ago. We are now less than 10 a month in KwaZulu-Natal, which was the hotbed of the construction mafia action. So we're really winning that war. We're not going to stop until we completely dismantle their network across the country.
And we know that today you're obviously going to be looking at the resolutions. Perhaps give us your objectives and resolutions for the summit.
Well, I don't want to preempt that because, the great thing about this summit, like last year, is that this is an industry-led summit. So government is here to listen. We're here to partner. We're not here to bring the solutions. We say that some of the best solutions exist within academia, within industry experts, within construction companies themselves. So we'll see what comes out of that. But I think that some of the things I'm looking to see is how do we speed up regulatory approval for projects. They just take far too long to get off of the ground. We need to speed that up while respecting environmental laws and community participation. We want to see how we can deal with issues of finance and ring fencing of budgets so that budgets are not shifted halfway through projects, so we can complete them on time. And of course, expanding out our social facilitation program, which is bringing in communities to work with us so that they actually become the first line of defense against disruption. So I think that that's what's going to come out. I'll wait to see what they bring, and then we'll present that to the plenary for adoption at the end of the day.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. There is Minister Dean McPherson. Nqobile, he's giving us details in terms of the construction summit that is happening. It's the second time that it has happened, starting in Durban. But of course, looking at the issues around the construction mafias and how they have worked around that. And of course, the investment that the president was speaking about.
Nqobile, thank you so much for that update. We'll certainly be catching up with the minister and progress on infrastructure around the country, in fact, in a conversation later.